Blake, you're here.
I'm here, hat in hand, like usual.
There you go. That's all right. Hey, it makes it. Hey, that's live radio and TV, folks. Not everything always works out, but yeah, you're here. That's all that matters. You probably didn't get to hear, but Blake, one of the things I wanted to ask you later in the show, but we'll start off with this. It's because it just crossed my mind this morning when I was doing work for the preparing for this. Is obviously Rural King's based in Mattoon, and then Emerald Acres. You've really been a big part of the the support and the creation of Emerald Acres in Mattoon based on your job and the kind of things you've done at Rural King. Have you been talked to by other markets that Rural King's in? Hey, why don't you come and do something similar in some of your other markets? Can you talk about that, or is there anything planned? Or
yeah, it happens. It happens actually kind of a lot. Partly, we go to a lot of real estate shows. I think we probably go to 10 of them across the country. Usually, looking for new markets for Rural King stores, but also trying to continue to develop and lease out some of the space we have at Emerald Acres. And we get a lot of municipalities and other folks going, hey, so you guys do these sports complex things? Can we have one of those? Can we do one of those in our town? And we kindly provide them the information of the sports facilities companies. That's who serves as the manager of the facility. I don't know if I have enough gas in the tank to do this project twice.
Twice? I'm thinking 10, 13.
I was telling somebody, if I think about from ideation, which was in 2019, we're sitting here in 2025, to when really this whole thing will have a bow on it, I think it's a 10-year project. Yeah. And there have been 1,000 hurdles and figure-outs along the way. And each one of these is unique and really required a perfect storm of leaders and businesses and cooperating taxing bodies to bring this thing to fruition, because everybody had to sign off on this thing. And I don't think that exists in other communities.
Rural King is in how many states and how many stores now?
So as of November 7th, we'll open our last store for 2025, and we'll be in 17 states, 150 locations.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that many states. I was trying to think. We were talking, as we're waiting on you there, about how many states you were in. I didn't realize
we added 3 this fall.
Wow.
So we went into Mississippi, South Carolina, and then Maryland will be the last one to open.
My genius Mattoon High School math says you have 37 more states to go.
And I think it might be a long time before that number gets anywhere close to 50.
All right, well, let's talk seriously now. Since you were here last, and I know we've also had, your director over here from Emerald Acres, but, from your point of view, talk about the progress we've made since the last time you were here, maybe over the last 6-7 months in general over at Emerald Acres and things like that.
Yeah, I was trying to think how long ago I was last here. But maybe I'll just through 2025 a little bit. So facility opened in December last year. And this year has really been a little bit of a ramp up in terms of tournaments that they're hosting, events that they're doing, and frankly, figuring out how the business should work. Each market, like I said, is unique. The types of events they can do, how they're paid for, revenue shares, how you staff them, how many chicken fingers to cook. I mean, it's all those questions exist with any kind of new startup business. And so they've been working through that. I think the biggest changes thus far this year has been some of the construction around it that's continued on. So if you haven't been by recently, the second hotel is now vertical. You can see that behind the bright lights of Texas Roadhouse. That gets everybody excited. But the dirt work started about a month ago on the outdoor fields. And so we were kind of in this process of when's the outdoor going to start, and that phase of the project was based upon how much commercial development we had gotten and the redirection of basically the sales and property taxes of the new businesses. So we had to have enough before we could break ground on that. We've achieved that. We're starting the construction on that, and each month we get a report from Tyler and the management team of 2026 calendar tournaments, where they're at, how many are scheduled, are we talking to, or contract signed, can we release the marketing on it, kind of thing. And they got a pretty full slate. I'm not going to remember the number offhand, but it's double, if not triple, the number of tournaments they had in 2025, and that's just kind of part of that onboarding. I guess what's been nice with the outdoor side is, unlike the indoor, we were starting and it was a cornfield, and they were trying to convince people to come host their big basketball tournament in a current cornfield. And now they can say, hey, we have the indoor side over here. This will be open next year. And organizers are committing to 2026 tournaments in July of 2026, as we have just piles of dirt right now. So we got to deliver.
That makes you a little nervous, right? I can see your
Makes
eyes.
my construction guys even more nervous.
Yeah.
But we'll deliver on it. The team's good at figuring it out, and I'm excited to see the further evolution of the place.
Okay. Alex?
What effects do you believe Emerald Acres has had on Mattoon overall, as well as just the success of the rural kings that are like near it too?
I would say the biggest impact, when I say Emerald Acres, I'm kind of referring to the whole project, the sports complex and the associated development around it. The biggest impact it has is it's changed the mindset of the local resident. Mattoon, like a lot of I think rural areas that have experienced change of industries, businesses closing, particularly Mattoon, we used to have a lot of factory work that's just gone away as the world's changed. And there's just this negative connotation to anything that happens. There's always that could never happen, that would never work here. What's gonna be the next negative thing? And now, when you hear people talk about the problems of the area or of Mattoon or of Coles County, they're starting to become problems we wished we had 10 years ago. What are we going to do with all this traffic? What are we going to do with this? Do we really need another one of those places here? Do we have enough workers for those things? Whereas previously we would have said, can we have some extra jobs because too many people are unemployed? And so there's kind of an upbeat attitude around the development of the area, and I think about the future prospects of what Coles County and East Central Illinois can be. And I think it's really energized folks and other businesses to feel comfortable making some investments and expansions within their own business. And we get involved in a lot of other community projects and conversations, and I can tell you there's a tremendous amount of folks that believe this area has a lot of growth and opportunity. And it takes the key pillars, Eastern Illinois is one of them, being strong and being able to help support us with the workforce and the talent that we need to achieve that success.
When you look right now at Emerald Acres, are there any vacancies out there? Is everything? I know Ulta just recently opened, correct?
I couldn't remember if they actually opened.
It's,
like
it's right
soon.
now. It's
yeah,
like
it's like
today
right.
or tomorrow
Yeah,
or yesterday.
it's real soon. And then Texas is November 17th is their published date. So there is a couple vacancies left still. There's space between Ross and Home Depot. There's small space next to Sports Clips, and then there's some space across from Home Depot.
Okay.
And we kind of experienced a little bit, it felt like a lull in development. In the last month, it's kind of picked up again. So these things sometimes come in waves. We have a few deals that we're working or talking through, and I think we'll end up with all three of those spaces full, and then continue to try to work on some of the empty ground that we have.
And there's also some road work being out there. So can you explain what's going on?
There's some road work, and I got bad news, Jeff.
What's
There's
that?
more road work coming. So right now, as I understand it, the state's working on Route 16, and so driving through Mattoon, there's a lot of orange barrels.
Yeah.
You don't get the nice road without the orange barrels. Yeah. And I think next summer they're going to start the reconfiguration of the interstate, which is going to be even more fun. And then recently announced they've gotten some funding to widen both Swords, which is the drive that goes directly in the sports complex, and Detro Drive, where the Walmart turn-in is, to relieve traffic, add turn lanes, and then an additional access point coming eastbound from Mattoon into Walmart. And so we're going to have some road construction on the east side of Mattoon for a while. But I think in the end, it's going to make it much more accessible. It's going to be better in the long run. You just got to...
I just go the wrong way. I go the long way now.
I think you're going to see those secondary roads get more and more traffic. Is what's going to happen.
That is the key. You talked a little bit about the outdoor sports. So realistically, though, softball, baseball, and soccer will be available.
Yes.
Probably July on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they already got... I mean, they have contracts signed on some of these tournaments.
Awesome.
So, and some of them are the big tournament organizers. They do this a lot. The good news with sports facilities is they have relationships with these groups at other facilities. So, we get that question a lot of, what about the Springfield facility? Well, I heard Marion's working on something. Well, they're actually all going to be managed by the same company. So it's less of a competition, and it's more of this tournament organizer's in this town this weekend. Let's bring them to Mattoon the next weekend.
Makes sense. So, Alex, other questions from a student point of view?
So obviously Emerald Acres is very big and has a lot of different parts to it. What part of it do you think is most unique and sets it apart from other sports facilities?
I think there's two components currently that make it really unique. One, the on-site medical clinic. So Sarah Bush came along as a partner and decided to relocate their Mattoon walk-in clinic in the facility. That is pretty rare. For the ability of a turned ankle or a little brother that gets sick at a tournament to be able to walk right next door to an urgent care is a phenomenal benefit. Mm-hmm. The second one, and we haven't fully realized the potential of this yet, is we put in college-level locker rooms into this facility. And youth tournaments don't really use those. But what it gives us the ability to do is to host collegiate level or even high school level competition that most of the time wouldn't be able to go to a facility like this without that. So we've had conversations with Eastern's athletic department, Lakeland's athletic department of what types of events can we do here, and even what postseason type of events can we do here? Because what's unique with Lakeland is they're kind of right in the middle of all the teams that they play, and there's a couple of the postseason events for Eastern where they don't have a great venue, and I won't hate on any of the Pacific sports, but they've been excited about the opportunities that we might be able to have, because those locker rooms can be used for either the indoor side or the outdoor side, but college has to have those, and most of the time you see these facilities, they don't have it.
How did the Neoga thing come up? I know the Neoga got hit by a tornado last year, and so now you're doing some Neoga sports?
Yes, and I'm only loosely aware, but I believe we were able to partner with the Neoga School District to be able to provide them the ability to use the facility essentially free of charge or close to it, why they didn't have the facilities to use. So whether that be practices, whether it be for games, Tyler would probably have a lot more answers on that, but this facility was not one designed where it was going to make a bunch of money off of local use. If you've ever heard of Grand Park, north of Indianapolis, it's a very different part of the world. They can charge travel teams $500 a practice to use their field. So that's not what this one is. So a lot of our local programming has been intended to be strategic to one, not duplicate anything that's already occurring, but two, to try to be accessible to the groups that might be trying to access it. So the challenge they have is there is only so many space. So you think 8 basketball courts, how the heck do you use up 8 basketball courts? With volleyball during the week, yeah, they use 8 basketball courts. And so it's trying to make it accessible to those that otherwise might not have it and be a benefit to local users when they can.
We're talking to Blake Pierce today, president of Rural Kings Real Estate and Development, and co-host Alex Sibman. When you look at right now, and Alex touched on this a little bit, but how do you measure the success right now? Would you give it an A+, a B-, B+? I mean, how would you measure it right now based on fall of 2025?
I would give it I'd give it a B. I'd give it a B because we're still ramping up. You have projections on what those things might look like. You do a lot of things, getting into the financial side of it. You have to discount tournaments to get people in the door, and then the goal is you get them to sign contracts year 2 and year 3. Yeah. And so your financials reflect that sometimes. So our board's planning accordingly and making sure that we're able to meet those challenges. But I'll be a lot more excited when we see numbers that are more black than not.
There you go. That's a good answer. And then before we get to Alex, what do you get asked the most? So you're in the community a lot. What's Blake Pierce get asked most by people of Mattoon, Charleston, EIU, Lakeland, whatever?
Oh, what do I get asked the most? It's usually what's the latest rumor? Is there any truth to it? People have stopped questioning Texas Roadhouse. That was the number one.
Now that you can see
it was that it wasn't real. My favorite was the flags that they had flying in the building had a buffalo on them because the construction company was Buffalo Construction, and so everyone was convinced that it wasn't Texas Roadhouse. It was some kind of buffalo restaurant. That's subsided now that the signage has gone up. I think there's always some local concern of it supplanting other resources. So I think someone had most recent one I got was that they were going to be running a local youth baseball league, and that was going to kill the local baseball leagues. No, they haven't even talked about that. So I don't know where people sit around and come up with thoughts or worries, but most of the time they're not even true.
Real quick, I'm sorry. The hotel opening, the two.
Yes.
What's the plans there?
So the Fairfield Inn, which will be the first Marriott product we have in Coles County, and that will open in December is the current plans, and then the Hampton Inn, which is being built on the other side of the complex. I'm told summer of 26. So they haven't given us a hard date on that. But some folks might remember we had a Hampton Inn on the north side of Route 16. That's changed brands. It's now a Best Western. So this will be bringing back a Hampton Inn product to the market.
How do you think Emerald Acres' location, both it being in Mattoon as well as where specifically it is in Mattoon, how do you think that has affected its success?
It's had a huge component of it. So I didn't list it as a primary unique benefit because you do see some accessibility with other complexes, but not all of them do. A lot of times it's where is the really cheap ground? Well, really cheap ground's usually an industrial previous industrial use that's on the wrong side of town with a hard road to get to it. Being right on 57, right on Route 16, that makes the retail development component of it work. Without that type of visibility, the shops, the restaurants, those groups, they're not just going to put a facility next to the sports complex because, and this is another thing people typically misconstrue, they didn't come here just for the sports complex. They came here because they were able to identify the market as one, which is the market's more than just Coles County. The kind of the trade area that we look at is over 100,000 people, and that come to the Mattoon, Charleston area to eat and shop. And they came because of that market, plus the opportunity, the additional opportunity of what the sports complex could bring. And so without the location that it's in, frankly, the project wouldn't have been feasible.
You said there's a few small openings, and then obviously the 2 hotels are being built. And in the summer, the baseball, softball, soccer field will be built. Will that kind of be the culmination of it, or is there plans that you could expand further in the future, or is there a deadline, like you said, 10 years when then we just run it?
So it will be from a sports asset, sports makeup standpoint. It'll probably be consistent. You'll probably see additional embellishments, amenities added slowly over the time, but I don't think you'll see, hey, let's add another 4 fields or something like that for some time in the future. I think additional development will probably continue, not just on the sites around Emerald Acres, but I think the entire east side of Mattoon will continue to see development. And we look, I have a strong belief we'll look back and go, this thing transformed this little part of the world. I thought I lost it, so keep going.
That's all right.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. The biggest thing with it, too, that we wanted to make sure about was the sustainability in the future of the project. So I remember very early conversations with the consultants. They gave us kind of the outline of costs, and we were trying to figure out how the heck do you pay for this thing. And I asked the question, I said, okay, so we get this all built. So what do we do when you got to replace the turf? Because, turf's good for 7 to 10 years or something.
And it's not inexpensive.
No, it's like $1 million a field.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they go, well, nobody's really asked us that question. I said, you do these studies hundreds of times. No one's asked these questions. They go, most of the time, these groups are just worried about getting it built, and they figure that's a problem for 10 years from now. Mm-hmm. And we really try to be specific with our revenue sources and our structure of funding, that we had the ability not just to create a first-class facility day one, but to continue to invest in it so it's successful long-term. Because the only thing that's probably worse than not having a sports complex and everything that's happening out there, but is to build it, and 15 years from now it becomes the eyesore that I won't name the community, but certain communities have experienced with the big asset in town that suddenly goes defunct.
Yeah. Well, is there a way that, like, I'm using an example, for every $100 you take 50 cents and put it in like a field restoration fund? Can you do kind of that? Or
that's part of what happens. Yeah. So a lot of our funding sources are going to service the bonds that gave us the cash up front to build this thing.
Yeah.
Those are all designed intentionally conservative for the investors so that they feel good about being paid back their money. But what that will create over time, assuming this performs like we expect it will, is that we'll start to build surpluses in those accounts that can either allow us to pay down debt quicker or to reinvest in other parts of the complex. And then, yes, have the funding to then make the reinvestments that need to occur over time. So if it all goes well, we talk in our board meetings, I feel really good about the long-term health of the overall project. And the short term, I hope it'll get better.
No, that's good. A good answer. Alex, go ahead.
How do you believe Emerald Acres has helped Mattoon's local teams and local athletes?
At this point, it's probably been somewhat helpful because it's provided at least. I'll call out Club 217 volleyball. They didn't have a consistent place to practice, and they certainly didn't have a consistent place to have all their levels of teams be at the same time and location. So for groups like that, I think it's been tremendous to say we always know we can be here and makes it easier accessibility to sport. For more generally, I don't think we've realized it yet. As a local guy and as a sports enthusiast myself, I really, really hope over time this raises the level of sport within the area. Not just because we like to say we're good at sports. If you ever look at some of the things Ken Waddell, who I know is a name is known around here, talked about what youth sport does for the individual, and it really creates better citizens. And having a standard of what is success and fighting to achieve that, I think not just getting more wins for the high school football team, but it generally improves the overall community. And so I hope we make more winners is the answer, but it's not just to be winners. It's really to deliver better citizens.
The other side of this that we kind of, because we always look to the Emerald Acre side, but the Cross County Mall is also being developed. Any update on the restaurant there that is no longer open, or are we working towards somebody or not?
Man,
you knew I was going to ask.
Yeah, I've been trying. We have a potential user we're working through. We need to get somebody in there. Can't talk about it yet, but it's top of mind.
Okay. Other things going on out the mall area? I know the lube I can't think of the name of it right. Is open and up and running next to Taco Bell there.
Valvoline.
Valvoline.
Valvoline's open. We still have a lot next to Valvoline that's marketed that we're marketing for sale. We have or at least haven't got anything in there yet. And then. Yeah, the evolution of the mall is going to continue to be something we're trying to figure out. Do you try to continue to re-retail the inside of it? That's becoming increasingly hard for national tenants, or do you look at doing something else unique with some of the inside space? And so there's some community ideas being kicked around, and what I feel good about is I know we're going to have a great shopping center in the front of the mall. We might have to get creative with some of the space in the back of the mall. That's a
fair answer. We're talking to Blake Pierce today. Alex, any other questions from your point of view?
I have a question actually about Rural King.
That's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
What goes into deciding what towns you want Rural Kings in? What makes a town be an important town that you want to put a location in?
So it's a fair question because that's who pays my salary. All these community projects I love, but that's not.
Comes down to it's still RK, right?
So it's been a fun evolution. I've been doing the real estate side and working on new locations for probably 7 years now, and we used to rely a lot on the gut, on the belly, and really experience of seeing other markets that had been successful, and does this market look like that one? Us, like a lot of people over the last 4 or 5 years, have made a tremendous advancement with data that we're using. And so we're able to use a lot of different inputs, specifically like cell phone data of our existing stores, finding out who those customers are, what does a good customer market look like, and then where are there other markets like that. And so we now have the ability, we've mapped the entire United States into 4-mile wide quadrants and can rank them in terms of a sales forecast and ultimately a profitability forecast of where do we want to have locations. And then we're able to deploy that against where are there existing properties that might work for us, because as a low-cost retailer, we try to reuse properties as much as we can, or where are there opportunities where we should consider new builds at to try to meet the growth needs that we have. So that's the long version. The short version is we look for places that have a lot of what I call our core customer, which is actually not the farmer. The row crop farmer and the 80-acre farmer that the farm and ranch industry used to support has kind of gone way to mega massive farming operations, and so that customer makes up actually not as much percentage of our base as you might think. It's more so the person that lives out in the country and they got a cat and a dog and they hunt and they fish and they got a garden and they got a truck and they try to work on their truck and they wear blue jeans and they need work gloves and they have an above ground pool and like that guy, it's usually a middle-aged guy, he shops our whole store, and that's really where there's more of those folks. That's where we are looking for new locations.
Mm-hmm. Is there plans? I mean, obviously, anything new coming up down the road in terms of a new store?
In terms of other new store locations? Yeah. So we're doing 15 locations for 2026. We have, I think, all but 1 or 2 of those already identified and kind of locked down. And so our group, we work about 2 years in advance. So we're starting on our 2027 batch of stores. And wow. Our plan is to continue to grow as we have in the past. And we get so many inquiries of people that want a Rural King. And we got to figure out a way to deliver it to them and do it well.
We have 1 minute left today with Blake Pierce, president of Rural King Real Estate and Development. Anything you want to talk about? We'll give you 30, 40 seconds here to anything we forgot about that we haven't asked you about, Blake. I'll ask you something.
Yeah, keep feeding me questions.
Popcorn and coffee at all the stores, or is it?
You have to have popcorn and coffee at all the stores. Little fun fact: believe it or not, prior to about 6 months ago, there was not a like defined, this is the exact way you make the popcorn recipe. So at the office, they did a kind of a blind taste test and different methods and means in which to come about it. So now there is a standardized recipe that it should taste the same in Illinois as it does in Florida, no matter what. And
awesome.
You got to have the coffee too.
It's just one of those things you have to get. It's just the way it is. Well, I appreciate you coming in and talking about all that's going on with Rural King and Emerald Acres, and you're obviously a big asset to the community. So thanks for coming in today, Blake.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. We are WEIU.